What's going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have liked and sub, and let's get into this. One of the big debates on everything now is authenticity. And one of the ways you should be authentic is by being accurate in your adapting of things. And so when we hear that we're going to get 10 years of Harry Potter and every season is going to be a book and it's going to be the most accurate adaptation we've ever heard. And when we hear we're going to get a live action, How to Train Your Dragon, it's going to be so accurate, it's going to look just, and then we get this. And then we get this. Or if you're a George R.R. Martin and we talk about Game of Thrones, we get the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones where they were going off material that George hadn't actually written yet and had to ad-lib. Even if they knew the beginning, middle, and ends roughly, all that middle stuff they had to ad-lib, and thus it wasn't accurate to what will end up being source material if he ever finishes the goddamn books. But the point is so where do you go on accuracy, right? It seems when people make the case of like, well, she's the spirit of the character, even if she doesn't quite look like it, who cares? They only make that argument in one direction. And if there is a black character, all of a sudden it is very super important that they remain black. I.e., even though Snape is definitely described as white and yellow skinned and pale and sickly and sallow and all that other shit, I'm sure people will make the effort of saying, well, just because he's described that way, it doesn't really matter to the character. As long as he acts like Snape, it'll be fine. But if I were to suggest to you that Dean Thomas or Kingsley Shacklebolt should be race swapped to another, all of a sudden I'm sure their ethnicity and skin color would be super important to the character. And well, we've got George R.R. Martin talking about those faithful adaptations, and he says, maybe I'm one of the few people in Hollywood who still thinks that when you adapt a work of art, a novel, a short story, you should do a faithful adaptation. It annoys me too much because they change things and I don't think they generally improve them. Harry Potter movies were great. They changed a lot of things. They give a lot of story elements that belong to Ron to Hermione. They changed a lot of the ending, and maybe the point A and B were the same, but how they got to point A and B were different. And those are the changes that a lot of times fans just really pisses us off because it's something that we're going there to find, and then we don't find it because you've changed it. Not the first time he's had to explain this to people. The big one here is that fantasy needs to be grounded. It is not simply a license to do anything you like. Smaug and Toothless may both be dragons, but they should never be confused. Ignore canon and the world you've created comes apart like tissue paper. Yes, 100%. And this is bigger extension of this is verisimilitude, where the bigger ask from someone, the more everything else needs to make sense. Because if you're busy stopping your brain from making sense of like space magic, you don't need to be asking basic things of like physics and radical little things that don't make sense. He continued, the book is the book, the film is the film. They will tell you as if they were saying something profound. Then they make their own story. They never make it better, though. 999 times out of 1,000, they make it worse. And we've seen this time and time again with something that's adapted, and then they go, well, you didn't want just a direct adaptation, did you? I was like, well, first of all, yes, I did. But second of all, the changes they made are never better. And they are always made out of
sheer fucking hubris.
And they're normally made out of not knowing or even liking the source material. So it can be done. Sometimes you do have to change things, but I think Bo DeMeo from X-Men 97 said that like you have to know and love a product first before you can accurately start to change and contract or expand on things, because otherwise you won't exactly know when to do it. There are changes that you have to make or that you're called upon to make that I think are legitimate, and there are others that are not legitimate. So the point here is you have to learn to tell the difference. But to start off would really help if you hire actors that look like the characters. And then when you're writing your screenplay, you don't change the most pivotal moments in your story. That would be great if you could just do that. That'd be a big help. Either way, you let me know what you think about all this. Be sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're gonna do that, thank you. And
well, bye.